This week we went into much detail regarding the various non-recoupable funding sources that we have. So let's summarize the main important points.
So in this module, it's all about free money. Free money is not really free, obviously, but it is free in the sense that you do not have to recoup it. It is money that's available for you in order to finance your project without having to put this funding component into your waterfall. We talked about our free money sources before. This is just to recap what free money is. Free money is money you don't have to pay back. Could be money from US production incentives, foreign subsidies and grants, sponsorships and brands, crowdfunding, using investment, and in-kind service deals. We established that US production incentives and tax credits and rebates are production incentives provided by the region that you're shooting in. We also talked about the percentages that are available. Could be as low as 15, could be as high as 40, depending on where you're going. We are already clear about the fact that not every line item in the budget might be an eligible expense. So it's really important to look into the region that you're shooting and have a conversation with someone locally to make sure that you understand exactly how much money net to the budget you would have, depending on what you're actually expending there and what the region considers as an eligible expense. We did talk a little bit about the fact that when you go into a foreign country to be receiving an international incentive and you don't really have a European passport, you're going to need a local co-producer to combine forces with. And you can shoot just in one country, or you can combine 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 countries under the treaty co-production agreements, which will allow you to potentially get more money than you would get just in one country. In most cases, the foreign incentives, are cash flowed by the foreign subsidizing entity, so you do not need to have them cash flowed by a tax credit lender in most cases. The reason why brand integration and sponsorship is a little bit more of a hot commodity these days is because the brands are kind of going away from commercials, regular commercials on television, because no one watches television. I shouldn't say no one, but the ratings have definitely dropped. People are going online to watch content on demand, or DVRing their content. In very many cases, so they just forward through the commercials and don't watch them, and brands know this. So what do? They look at different ways of getting their message across, and they're looking at ways to combine with content providers that are organically integrating their product or their message. So it's not as simple as I put the Coke bottle on the table and it's just seen on the screen and I get $1 million. It is the conversation that could be happening around the Coke bottle being in the hand of the lead actor. It could be an integration that happens through application. For example, we're doing a dog show. And we are talking about a certain toy that would be good for aggressive dogs, and we're actually using that toy, and that toy was given to us by a toy company like Kong or someone. So we are applying this special thing in a special case, and it really features what it can do. This is really what organic integration looks like, and that's what brands pay money for. They pay money for exposure as well. So it's not enough just to say my show is on TV. It would also have to be somewhere online. It would also have to be integrated in some other form. It's all about giving eyeballs to the brands, and as many as you can. The nice thing about integrating a brand is that the brand integrates you as well. Which means if, for example, the brand, as we mentioned earlier, the toy company Kong gives you a toy, and I'll put it in the show, in my dog show, and it's been beautifully integrated, its features have been beautifully shown, and then what Kong might do on their website, they might show this segment or this episode of my show. So automatically my exposure becomes larger through the brand exposure, because they're using the material that I shot and put it on their social media, in their stores. So it is a hand-in-hand, interest-aligned situation that is beneficial for both parties. Richard Bordo would do such a better job than I do when I explain crowdfunding versus crowdsourcing. I'm going to make it quick. One is someone pledges money. The other one is someone pledges a service. It's as simple as that. We talked earlier about what in-kind service deals are, for example, in post-production. It could also be not just post-production, could be a visual effects house. When I did my Halle Berry movie, I had to put together some sharks. Usually, those sharks would be part of the visual effects component in the movie, because you can't really shoot real sharks and they don't usually show up on cue. So these are my visual effects that I had to work with a company that's actually a very big company. They do the Hunger Games, etc., etc. So there wasn't really a way for me to afford them. And only because the owner of the company is a dear friend of mine, also from Germany, and he gave me a deferment, I should say an investment, an in-kind service investment, in saying that he will basically just do this entire thing for 50% of what it actually cost. So visual effects is an in-kind service that can be provided, post-production is an in-kind service that can be provided, crowdsourcing is an in-kind service that can be provided, because again, it's a service that's budgeted that you don't pay for, because the person or the company is not going to charge you. So these are the kind of things that are important for you to employ, because what they do is they reduce the cost, and by reducing the cost, they reduce your risk.